Hello?
Hello, Rhonda?
Hey.
Hey, it's Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hey, I've been designated the person to call you and ask if you'll be on our podcast.
Absolutely not.
All right, I'll have John call. Maybe Jason. We'll go down the line.
No way.
What do I got to do to get you in? I guess I could call Darren.
Yeah, you could call him. Good luck with that. I don't know. You call my manager. You call my people. You have your people, call my people.
I'll have my people call your people, and hopefully we'll work out some kind of negotiation, and you'll come join us.
All right.
All right.
I'll think about it.
All right. Let me know when you can.
All right.
All right. All right.
See you
Thanks.
then.
Bye.
Bye.
Take me away, 'cause I can be the link. Let somebody was letting go and I can have my way.
Hey guys, I appreciate you coming back for this podcast. I know it's hard to get your managers to schedule this one in here.
I'm
a
don't
busy
have
man.
a manager, Jeremy.
Oh, that's
You're
why I
my
couldn't-
manager.
That's why I couldn't reach him.
I'm a very
That's what
busy
you,
man.
That's what you always tell me is you're my manager.
I would never say that.
You know what?
I don't
I'm
want
very
to
glad
manage
to
you.
be here right now because my wife has allergies at home. She's so allergied up that
For
she
the
can't
folks
teach tonight.
that are listening and not seeing, Jason is doing air quotes because
Air
he
quotes.
doubts that it's allergies and thinks that she's
gonna
got
give me a cold again. Last time we went out of town, did
avian
the same
flu.
thing. Got home, she was sick. Got sick for a week. That was wonderful. So it's going to happen again. Apparently,
Well,
When I
now
leave
you're
town,
spreading
she-
it to me.
Exactly.
What a bunch of.
Well, you know the gift. It keeps on giving. What are you going to do about it?
That's what makes the viruses go around the world.
Next time you see me, I will be very, very sick.
Sharing is caring.
From Jason.
You know, anyway, I do appreciate you coming, despite the fact that you have a sickness in the family.
I'm just telling you, I'm happy to be here. Not there. That was the point of that story.
Well, I appreciate that.
What's new with you, Jeremy?
I got back from the NAMM show. I saw you guys out there. That was pretty cool to run into.
Did you
guys.
see me there?
We go all the way.
Didn't expect
It's
to
so
see
weird.
you.
We all live here in southern Missouri, and then run into each other at the NAMM show. Also, I saw you guys on the airplane
And the
on
ride
car ride
to-
to the airport.
yeah.
It was just such a coincidence.
It was such a coincidence that I had to
We
ride
ran
in
in
the
the same
same
circles.
plane as you. By the way, Jeremy has been officially fired from booking flights because he has made us. We were going to L.A. from Springfield, Missouri, and we end up in.
Can I be honest?
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't mind it that much. I think I felt better on that flight than I did on ones I have to get up at 4:30 or 4 a.m. to get on. I don't like to
we
be
did a
interrupted.
red-eye
I'd rather
flight.
not sleep than have sleep interrupted.
The red eye was not as bad as I expected. It was going to Atlanta to get back to Springfield from
That was-
LA. Was a
that's-
little bit.
But what are you going to do about that?
Well, get a
I hope
direct
the hub-
flight.
what
I
are you
would
gonna
like
do?
Atlanta to move their, or Delta to move their hub to Springfield, Missouri.
That would make way more sense. So anyway, for you guys listening, we booked a flight to LA from Springfield, Missouri. We had to fly to Atlanta first to go back out. Now, I think actually the way back was easier for me, even though it was a red eye. I thought that was easier. For some reason, the way out to LA, I thought I was going to die. That 4.5 hour, almost 5 hour flight from Atlanta to LA.
I thought they were relatively the same, except for the lady that sat next to me on the second leg of my flight, who interrupted my show to ask me, "Is that good?"
Is that the same one that kept reaching up to turn off your air
Yeah, she
conditioning
kept
too?
turning my air conditioning off too. Every time I turned, she'd turn it back off because she said she was cold. You don't do
These
that.
are directional vents, lady. It's
You don't
pointing at
touch
me.
other people's vents. That's my domain.
Yep.
Well, we just lost the majority of the 3 people that were listening, so we're down to 1 listener because I thought I tuned in to hear about music,
more you
not
know.
about flights to LA.
Hey, music. You know what? We got somebody that's
Yeah.
very familiar with music.
I
today,
hope the
though.
people that didn't stay tuned in really regret it because we have a very special guest today. And for you
We
people
have
that
a-
did stick through all that, congratulations. We have a very
Congratulations.
good show coming up.
We have a Grand Old Opry star, a
Member.
royal member of the bluegrass family.
Whoa.
Her name is Rhonda Vincent.
Oh, my goodness.
You guys didn't know that?
I didn't. I'm so surprised. I just knew we had a really good
So
guest.
weird. We actually recorded the podcast before this, but Jeremy's got no memory whatsoever. Anyway,
Did I say anything cool?
she's incredible. A great friend of ours,
And
great
fun.
mentor of ours, and a great fun person, and
And a
I'm
big
honored.
fan of Carrot Top, which not,
We'll get into
not
that.
very many people know about this. So that's
We'll
pretty
take
cool.
a deep dive into that conversation later. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome to the stage. No, I'm so used to the way she gets introduced normally.
No. We are proud to know
We are.
Rhonda Vincent.
Welcome back to the Acoustic Shoppe Knows People. And no, we're not talking about these. We're talking about knowing people.
Knowledge.
Today, we're going to talk about knowledge with our real great friend, Rhonda Vincent, who is in here and is officially, in case you guys don't know, it is the queen of bluegrass. And yeah, we're glad to have you in here, Rhonda. Thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, we probably know each other better than most people. So this is a perfect place to have a conversation.
We definitely
you
know
definitely
people.
fit into the title that we know people.
Yeah.
The other
I know, when
the other
you
ones
said
is a
that.
stretch sometimes. But I think this is our first in-person podcast as well.
Yes, it is.
Yes, in-person guest.
How have you been doing them if they're not
virtual.
in person?
We've been doing
Only
virtual. Yeah, we have this TV monitor up here that
We
you can
send them
see,
equipment.
and then we're like looking
we don't
at
have to
them.
look at that. We
Yeah.
actually look at each other.
It's going to make it hard to ask the hard questions.
Oh yeah.
This might get uncomfortable.
You know what? Start off with that, Jason. Come on, hit me with that.
Rhonda, I'm sorry, guys. I'm losing your feed.
Yeah, that doesn't work here, does it?
You can try.
The best part is Rhonda actually knows people. That's what we should have it be called. Rhonda knows people because
The Acoustic Shoppe knows people vicariously through Rhonda.
I like that. Even
So
better.
the whole
fit on the
conversation.
thumbnail.
What was it like hanging out with this person and that person? And Dolly Parton, she seems pretty neat.
Yes.
For the rest of the podcast.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah.
And Carrot Top, you've met Carrot
Oh,
Top.
I
a number of
have met
times?
Carrot Top. Yes, I
Carrot
love.
Top.
I love.
That is an
he's my
interesting
favorite.
deal. Yeah, that is an interesting deal. When I think of Rhonda and comedians, I don't assume Carrot Top, but knowing you as long as I have, I know that that's like an obsession. Like,
Yes, one of my favorites is Carrot Top, and I'm not sure if this should be censored or not.
You can censor it if you need to. We'll-
Sally Tinsel and I, well, the whole family and her, we were at Las Vegas, our first family trip to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And there we are. In fact, so several things that go with this, and like here we are, do they call that Sin City maybe?
they still call it Sin City.
And
Yes.
see, people would not allow me to say this on TV and on shows, so maybe I can say it here.
Yeah, this is probably the best place. I can't wait to tank your career. This is going to be great.
I was in the bathtub. This is what gets them when I say I was in the bathtub in Las Vegas.
Really?
Before
You take a bath?
I know. Really, what's wrong with it? Before this Carrot Top show many years ago with the family, I'm in the bathtub and I started singing "When My Way Is Long," which was the beginning of a song that's one of our most requested, "His Promised Land," a gospel song, which is good.
Yes.
Then the girls and I got out of the bathtub and didn't have the rest of that song, but we got dressed and we went to see Carrot Top. See, so what's wrong with telling that about the bathtub?
Nothing. This is all great. I'm all
What
good so
shows
far.
are you doing?
They will not. They take that out. They will not. Said you cannot say that you were in the bathtub when you wrote that song. So
I don't
thank
know.
you for allowing.
I don't know
Songs
what's
are
so.
written in the shower in the bathtub.
I want to point that out. I just got thanked for allowing her to talk about the fact that she bathes herself.
I'm just wondering,
That's really nice.
what kind of networks are you on?
I know.
Very strict bathtub
So-
laws.
So anyway, you go to the.
So we went to
show.
Carrot Top show, and like this, he was at a different location. He was over at the MGM at that time, and the sound guy was in the middle of the room, which has changed now. Not really important, but it is to this story.
It's all about the details.
It is.
You're
Well, that's
painting a picture for us.
There's yes. So we were at the MGM, we're at the theater, Carrot Top, and all of a sudden the song with Alan Jackson, "Where I Come From,"
Yes.
there's cornbread and chicken. Well, I'm singing on that.
I did not know that. How did I
yes,
not
see,
know
there's
that?
trivia. Maybe. So I'm singing on that song. It's in Carrot Top show.
Really?
He plays it because he plays these little snippets of songs in his
Gotcha.
thing he does at the end, his grand finale, and he still does. So I'm like, oh my goodness, maybe we'll get a chance to meet him. Maybe this could be. I got the napkin, I think, and I wrote a Carrot Top. We're here at the show. I'm actually singing in your show because I'm on that song, the Alan Jackson song, Cornbread and Chicken, and we would love to say hello if possible. Rhonda Vincent. And I took it back to the sound guy and said, would you please, this is after the show, would you please give this to Carrot Top? And I said, we'll wait around for a second. And so he took it back, and the next thing you know, they came and said, hey, he would like to see you guys.
That's awesome.
So we got to go backstage, we got to meet him, and the girls, I forgot, they must have been 10 or 12, before they got in trouble with you guys. So
We'll get to that. I know we will. I knew that would show up in this podcast. All right, go ahead.
So he says, and he's real, and first of all, the girls, he smells so good. If you could smell through this podcast, Carrot Top, I don't know what his I think it's lotion, because his skin was so soft when he hugged us. His skin was so
See,
soft.
it's all about these details.
and he
It's
smells
painting such a
so
picture.
good.
Now I understand why they took you off the air with this story. I'm starting to get the picture now.
Maybe this is the most erotic Acoustic Shoppe podcast that you've ever had.
That's not saying much, but yes, I agree it is.
So he hugs me and he says to me, hey, do you want to take the girls back to the hotel and come back?
Okay. Again,
As he is pouring some Crown Royal into a glass. And I said, oh, I thank you so very much, but I don't drink. And this is information. Luckily, Herb will never listen to a podcast. We probably told him. I was probably so excited that I kind of got hit on by Carrot Top that I was, I probably said, honey, you'll never believe this, but he wants me to come back.
That's hilarious.
Good for you.
I remember at that time the girls in Tinsville and Sally were just such huge Carrot Top fans, and they were over the moon. That I think you got to meet them a couple times, haven't you?
We've seen, several times now.
And that and Rascal Flatts, I think, were the two things they were most over the moon about.
We have flown thousands of miles and driven thousands of miles to see Carrot Top and to see Rascal Flatts. In fact, I was just telling somebody about that yesterday, how about driving them to Ohio during Christmas break to see Rascal Flatts was playing in a club in Ohio somewhere. Tinsel found it, drove over there, and they're in the front row, and I'm sitting in the back with my arms crossed, just like, okay, whenever this show is over, I can go. My father did that same thing for me because I was not old enough to drive, and he drove Brent Truitt and I to, who was with the Steel Drivers, that and he drove us to Kansas City to see Stefan Grappelli and Mark O'Connor and Mike Marshall. And we sat at these tiny little tables. He got it. We weren't of age, so we could not get in. Dad took us in there, sat us at the table, and then he went out with his spittoon and sat and waited till the show was over.
that
Did
wasn't
not
his style of
watch
music,
it.
huh?
Didn't want to do it, huh?
That would have been quite a concert, though.
Was that with,
What a
would
combination.
that have been a Grisman show too? Would David have been
David
there?
was, no, I don't think David
That
was
was
not with
pretty
him.
much the
that?
Grisman
Grisman band
quintet.
with.
You know what? Maybe
Stefan.
I just forgot that.
Yeah, I just forgot David. The
Could I
main
have
guy
forgotten
there.
that? I think Mike Marshall was the mandolin player at the time.
Well,
I
Mike
don't think.
played with
They
David
would've been
Grisman, too, with
with
Mike
that
Marshall.
Do you think they would have all been? We'll have
should have
to look at this. I have
They
probably.
did a tour with Stefan Grappelli.
That
and it would have been
was
Mark O'Connor.
Mike
and
Marshall
And
and-
maybe he was there.
Yeah.
I just remember Stefan.
just-
I've never been to a show where there was an standing ovation after every solo. I mean, it literally was an ovation. It was so
I can see
amazing.
that.
And then he sat down. Stefan Grappelli sat down just at the piano. It was just one of the most incredible shows. Two of the most incredible shows I've ever seen. Probably my
Chapmans,
top
probably.
favorite.
I was going to say.
I'm just waiting to see which one.
Which show, specific show that it was. But that show was Stefan Grappelli and Linda Ronstadt.
I would have
Those,
loved
I
to
think,
see
are my two
either one of
favorites.
those. I missed out on
No
both
offense,
of
Carrot
those.
Top.
This is more of
did
a
any-
performance.
Yeah, but did any of those hit on you? That's what I really want.
Lori Morgan, that's a story for another podcast. Now, that was, some of the cool things. I just kind of recalled Branson back in the late 90s, I guess, when Branson was like really hopping. It was kind of cool. They brought some pretty large world-class acts. We got to see Wayne Newton down there.
Oh, I want to see Wayne Newton.
We got to see.
I have to say, Wayne Newton. Okay, here's the deal, guys. Wayne Newton, when that was happening right there, was probably the best, well-produced show I have ever been
like
to.
that guy
from
learned a thing or two in
anybody.
Vegas.
Yeah, it's like he was an entertainer or something.
Yeah. So I always heard that his musicians had to tune their guitars, and then they undid the tuning knobs, and that they all had to be the same direction. Have you ever heard that?
Wow.
I have never heard that, but it would make
noticed that,
sense.
but-
Yes. That they all
And then
of
if
the,
they go out
what-
of tune on stage, leave it.
I was going to say, what happens? What happened?
don't go out of
but
tune.
could
is that
see that.
engineering wise?
That's
Is that possible? So you could tune it and then you undo it and you turn the You turn the knobs.
Rhonda, have you ever really been in tune on stage? That's the question.
Yeah, really.
I've never been completely in tune, so I guess I could.
It seems like quite the detail, though.
It is. I will
I've
say.
always heard that. I would
imagine.
we need some authentication.
I would
on
love
that.
to see that. I would say that when I saw that show, it was probably the most rehearsed, well executed show I've ever seen. Every little step, everything from the band, everybody knew exactly where they needed to be at all times.
And he just commanded the stage as well
Exactly.
as the
You know what? You're
utility.
making me think. Elton John has to go up there too.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
saw
that
his
would be
show.
good.
That's another one that was
I would have loved
amazing.
I got to be
We
in
played
the
in the basement.
of a show.
Wow, we could hear him
Elton was
going
there.
on upstairs.
we were playing in the Civic Auditorium in Omaha, Nebraska, and they had a show going on in the bottom of that arena.
We were at the crafts fair
and he was
underneath.
up in the top.
It was the sold-out show.
It was a sold-out show, and I did step up into the hallway enough to catch a glimpse of the concert going on in there, and I could hear it through the floor. But it was a massive show.
He's truly amazing. Also.
That would have been good.
I think that was better than the other time we were there and they were having the monster truck rally. About
Oh,
that was,
did you have to play during the monster trucks?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? We did that once. It was like a drag racing. And like, it's like you can't hear anything. What in the world?
Our favorite one was we played, what was the rodeo we played in
Oh,
Colorado
yeah,
where
there's
we
a-
were in front of the bullpen and there was bullhorns shoving through this curtain every time. We were all through the entire show.
It was literally they had little banners that were covering the fence where the bulls were all held, and every once in a while they'd get really, really mad while we were playing,
Or
and a horn
excited.
would just show up right up from behind us. You know? Yeah, either they were
didn't back up
happy or
too
mad.
much.
I don't know which, but it wasn't great either way. Anyway, I do want to say and kind of base a little bit. We were talking about this. We have known Rhonda for quite a long time. One of the nicest individuals that has helped us out, entertainment-wise and musically and friendship-wise. From the very first time we saw you, I think, and hung out with you at Silver Dollar City, you were just kind of a mentor and kind of just walked us through a lot of situations that we would have throughout our history. And then since then, we've got into lots of mischief and troublemaking that you have then chewed us out for, including a time where we were hanging out with your kids, Dizzle and Sally. Became close friends. I still want to make sure, because I knew this story was going to come up, I might as well set it up now. I was not there. I just want to point this out. But
Details that we were not.
And it wasn't my fault.
that you weren't there, and it wasn't his fault, is what Jeremy says.
It's what?
It wasn't my fault.
I didn't do it either.
So here's the layout of how I remember this happening. So there was trouble. Anyway, there was a concert that they were going to go to. I forget
Joe
who-
Nichols.
Joe Nichols. All right. So
Fulton, Missouri, I believe.
there you go. So the
Let's get
girls,
these details
the
going.
girls invited Jeremy and Jason. Again, did not invite me. So I just want to
Okay.
point. That's how I know I'm not in trouble.
Okay.
And they went to this concert.
By association, John. By association.
I don't
This is
even-
why don't even have the.
I don't like
the
these guys.
appearance of impropriety.
I don't like my brothers. I don't like any of them. So you cannot blame me for this. So they go to a concert. And then I guess
And they're
everybody-
supposed to stay overnight in Columbia, Missouri at Herb's cousin's
I'm going to set up.
house.
You go ahead and give your side of the story.
We
So-
didn't know that. We weren't told that.
So they're supposed to stay in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah.
Jeremy and Jason are there. They decided. I was at home.
Wait
and
a
all of
minute. You
sudden-
guys, they went to the concert. Did you guys go to the concert
Yeah,
too?
we were there all hanging out.
I
That's
was
where
never made aware of that. I didn't know that you were. They were
Yeah.
with another friend. I thought.
They had another friend. I forget who it was
I
there
don't
with them.
remember that detail, but I
Was it
remember going
Emily
to the
Long?
concert.
No.
It might have been.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were at the concert, and they're like, "So what are you guys doing now?" And they're like, "Oh, I think they said we're supposed to go to our cousins or uncles
Yeah,
or something."
yeah.
And then I said, "Oh man, you should have come down our way." Like, "Oh, that would be so much fun." And that just kept snowballing, and like, "Oh, we're gonna do this." And then I forget how the details of the next part of it went. If they said
I'm
they
pretty
called
sure
one
we
or-
said you should call your dad.
that's what it was.
And they said,
yeah.
no, it won't matter. They don't care.
They don't
We'll be
care. We do
fine."
this all the time.
Yeah. Something to that effect.
Which, by the way, again, you know your daughters. I know them well enough. That sounds like something they would say. They wouldn't care.
They wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
You-
finding out a lot of things about my daughters now. Years later,
Now that they're
25 years later, that I was not privy to.
All right.
So.
Well, then maybe we'll
past-
add
And they-
some.
It's
And
past
they
the
thought-
statute of limitations, so people are like willing to give you that information now, so you can't go back and.
See, they and the cousin, Herb's cousin, was not home, so they thought they would get up and get home because he wasn't home, wasn't supposed to be home. However, on this Sunday morning, Parker Herb's cousin got home early to find there was no one at his house.
Yeah.
That's how this.
So all I know is I'm at home, and about 11:30 at night.
Make this clear.
Make this clear.
Make
We
this
still
clear.
lived
Me
at
and
home with
Jason
our
are still
parents.
living at home with our parents. It wasn't like they're in our house and anything.
We stayed up all night playing video games.
Yeah, I think we played those
I will
party
say
video
that.
games on Nintendo.
So I was home, and all of a sudden they all come back, and they're all there. And I was like, "Oh, nice to see you guys."
Did you guys go over, or did you went
I
over?
lived there too at the time.
Oh,
We
you
all
were
lived-
okay.
We were all living at home.
So you
at
were
the
party
house.
to this then?
Well, yes and no.
I thought that
Okay.
you weren't there.
No, I was there. I wasn't just at the
After.
first half. They showed up at the house, and my dad and mom asked them, "Is this okay with your mom and dad?" And of course, they said, "Yeah, it's okay. No big deal." So there was that again caveat put into this whole mission. And then they did. We stayed up and we played video games and whatnot and watched TV. And
The
all of a
whatnot
sudden,
is what worries me.
I promise you, as far as I know, there was nothing going on.
Lots
there.
of soda was drank.
Lots of soda was drank.
improprieties.
No. And anyway, after that, I remember at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, an absolute scramble because my bedroom.
Scramble. That's a great way
It was
to
an
say
absolute
it. It was
scramble.
a scramble.
My
Not a
bedroom-
band scramble either.
No, my bedroom was downstairs in the basement where they were all staying. And the girls were staying down there, and then all of a sudden I hear just everybody just wrapping things up and trying to get things bagged up and get out of the house. And so I come out of there, and it's like, we got to go right now. Mom called, and
We're in trouble.
and that's what I remember happening. They got home, and then I didn't think it's still that big of a deal until we get to the festival. 2 weeks later, we're playing a show with Rhonda, and I'm
From
standing
stage.
from stage where Rhonda says, "I got a bone to pick with the Chapman boys, and I gotta figure this out. There's a serious problem here." Anyways, so there's the story about the
was
time
all
we got
very
in a lot of trouble.
So there is history.
Yes, there is a lot of history. We've had a lot of fun throughout the years. I got to hold on to Rhonda's dress while she uses the bathroom.
Again,
that sound weird?
clarify that a little bit. There was a porta pot, and you were outside the door.
Outside
She
the door.
had the longest sleeves on a dress that ever existed, and we're at a festival in Washington, and she's like, "I gotta go," and she's like, "John, can you hold this?" So I'm standing outside of a porta pot door with this balled up roll of sleeves to a dress while she's in there taking care of business. And
You're
of
not allowed to
course,
say that. If you can't talk about a bathtub, you definitely can't talk about a porta
Yeah, these topics are completely
these are only podcastable.
off limits, but they're on limits for podcasts.
Yeah,
I'm
you
learning
guys took a
this.
photo of it and put it online. So I
I
guess
happened to. First thing I did was take a selfie of myself holding Rhonda's dress sleeves outside of a porta pot, which I will share later. It's going to be awesome.
That's so nice.
I did send you a copy of it.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed it.
So I think one of the things we thought was the coolest about you, well, obviously, Dad saw you guys way back in Denver before most of us were
No,
playing
it was-
any music. Was it?
I'll tell you this
yeah, it
first
was
story of this.
before the
This is the
Midwinter
first time
Festival.
we ever saw Sally Mountain Show. We were playing Whispering Pines. Wendy, what was his name? In Gilson, Illinois. Is that right? Do you remember that festival?
Oh, yeah, Oliver Smith.
Oliver Smith, that's who it was. We were coming back from New York. My grandparents lived in upstate New York. So we were driving back in a van, and there was festival signs on the highway that said Bluegrass Festival. My dad was just getting into the idea of bluegrass music. And he's like, we should stop. So we stopped and pulled over, and we ended up sleeping in our van. We didn't bring anything, but there were some blankets and stuff, but we just kind of slept in there as a family. But it was the first time we saw an out-of-state bluegrass festival that wasn't in Colorado, and you guys were on there. And it was the first,
Oh, my goodness.
the first band that Dad saw at that festival was Sally Mountain Show. And I was pretty darn young. I don't think I had even started playing music at all at that time, but I do remember being there, and I remember him talking about this girl. She plays fiddle, and you should learn to play fiddle. It's just incredible. You're gonna, so we watched that. So that was like some of the very beginnings of my dad and the family getting into playing. So again, very instrumental in
fault.
us. Yeah, it's your fault. We ended up the way we are.
And I really appreciate Zach Arnold really brought this to light to me. Is that he said the first time they came to a show, he was 4 months old, and he has a picture of me holding him. So thank you for making me
Well, Zach
feel
Arnold made
so
us
young.
feel
Yeah, Zach Arnold also did the exact same thing to us. He goes,
in
He
bluegrass.
goes, man, my first album I ever bought was a Chapmans album. And I'm just sitting here like, shut
He
up.
sings your songs. Yeah, he sings your songs at sound check and on the bus.
Made me feel, because I remember when I was a cool kid too. I was never cool, by the way. And then you got Zach coming up and telling you how, when I was like 6 years old, I was listening to your music.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
No, I don't like it at all. But
He
seriously,
was born in 2000. I mean, he can't help it. There's so many things we try to, Rick Rack. Have you guys seen Rick Rack?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mom used to decorate our clothes
We
with.
talk with most of our staff is way too young, and the mind blowing thing that we were there before cell phones and the internet, and like they can't really comprehend what life was like. But the microwave, I remember when the microwave came out, that was like the new technology. And I was like, how old are you guys? I was like, no,
I think my
technology
mom's
has been
still
really
using-
rapid.
My mom's still using the one they got from Montgomery Ward in the 70s. I think of
filtered
the
is better back
microwave.
then.
Oh yeah, the dial. Yeah. It still works though.
I got one that's 2 years old. The handles broke off. And
See, everything's
You gotta go back
disposable
to the
now.
old my first memory of seeing Rhonda was Sally Mountain Show, but it was in the Fort Collins, Colorado Midwinter Bluegrass Festival. And I remember there being, and I want to discuss this because this is something we relate with you.
Okay.
There was a bit of a kerfuffle on stage.
Kerfuffle.
And there's a lot of stories out there of you guys that
And
we
us.
relate to,
Yes.
of some family
Sibling rivalries on
sibling
That never
arguments
happened to you, did it? Ever?
going on during the shows and after the shows.
Oh,
So let me
I'm
let me
shocked.
make this clear to you so that you're able to open up. I gave Jason a black eye 5 minutes before going on stage. So at our city.
Multiple times.
oh no.
So now your turn. Now that I've shared.
Yeah. Well, we're going to air our dirty laundry. No, there's a lot of fights going on, but I remember hearing stories of some things with you and Darren, and we could really relate.
It was always. Well, she told us that. The first thing I remember, this is my first story of that, was at Silver Dollar City. We're standing around, and we're with Dad, and Rhonda goes, do you guys ever fight? And I was like,
Your boys
yeah. Yeah, we do. Arguments happen. I think this is part of the family band situation. I learned really quick that I could tell Jeremy really mean things if I had my teeth smiling and looked like, I hate you.
That was
Do
awful
something
solo.
better.
After the show, I'm going to beat you. There's a lot of that going on.
Everybody's, you guys look so happy on stage. Oh, yeah.
But that Silver City was an important player in that black eye that I got. It was
Oh, my
we were
goodness.
playing up by the gate. We played that there was a stage they put right
You're
outside
coming-
of the
as
gift
you're
shop.
walking in,
Yes.
the welcome band. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember spending an entire day with makeup on my eye because I said something to Jeremy he didn't like.
Oh man, just
Jeremy
the
had
words, huh?
he had a tendency. I was in the. We always had our
we've
set
hashed this story
benches
out
in
so
the
many
van.
times.
We had our set benches, and I was always behind Jeremy. And Jeremy had a tendency to not say, "I'm mad at you. Stop doing what you're doing." No, he'd just turn around and hit you.
Wow.
That was how we knew that we
In
pushed him
this
too
case,
far.
and I think I have witnesses, I said, don't do that again or don't say that
That's
again or
not
I'm going to
true.
hit
That's
you.
not true.
And he did it one last time. And you've got to be a man of your word, if nothing else.
It was Gilson, Illinois, one Sunday morning, and Mike and Bull Harmon were in a car. Our camper was up where we were looking exactly into the car, and they are absolutely punching back. They had
guys
a
are tough,
fist fight
too.
in the front seat of that car, and then this Lori came and say, "Hey, we're on," and they both just fixed their clothes up, grabbed their instruments, and went and did a gospel show.
And those guys are tough.
golly.
Those punches were probably harder than ours.
Yeah.
Well, that was the beginning for us of the no face rule. From then on,
Oh,
there
that's
was
a good idea.
There was no allowed to be punched above the neckline of any shirts. And
How about a no punching rule?
Well, we can't
what
do
happened
that.
to that?
That's not a thing.
No
Three
punching.
boys that spend the entire day in a van together. It's just something's
There's got to be punching.
Even to this day, we still we don't punch anymore.
There's no punching.
No, but there's a
still
lot of
fighting.
foul language with each other.
What? You guys
John.
use foul language?
Never. No, it was actually
You stupid head.
You stinker.
Big old stinker. You. So I guess Rhonda's not going to share any.
No.
Bad. Do you guys ever fight on the road?
I mean, I'm sure there was constant fighting, but I mean, there's eight years between Darren and I, and 12 years between Brian and I. So
really, I did not know that.
yeah,
I know that Brian showed up with a broken arm. And I just assumed you did it.
Oh, thank you.
That's another good
football
story.
had nothing to do with that.
That was another good story. We never got to play any sports because of Brian.
Yeah.
Dad.
Oh,
Dad
I
used
bet
him
that's
as an
right.
always
example
use
of
an
why
example
we-
of you can't do it.
Broken finger.
worth it.
Did you know? So on his left hand, his ring finger, he broke at football, and so they had said we can either sit it to where it's straight, or how would you like it? Luckily, the surgeon, Dr. Glenn Browning, you probably know him, and he was aware. So Brian's ring finger on his left, he had it curved so he could still fret the mandolin because he had a
main
choice
concern is-
right before surgery. Yeah, he said, "Oh
Who
no,
needs a
I
straight
want to be able to
finger?
play." So yeah, if you have that decision to make, it's good to know.
It was a example, at least, of why we weren't allowed to play sports. He'd just always bring that up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it could really set you guys. You break an arm or something. Look at Brian.
Yes, and he broke a lot of stuff. So, very good example to have.
Must be.
So, not everybody knows, and a lot of people do know. You had a big stint. Obviously, Queen of Bluegrass. The family band started out country, going into bluegrass, correct? Because you had Sally Mountain show was going on a radio show. Is this correct?
Well, it was.
Remind me how it was.
Yeah, this is. I mean, years ago. Well, the family traced back 5 generations of music, or I'm the 5th generation. But at that time, it was, my dad and his uncles. So they were the Foggy River Boys, or I forgot what they were called. And so they were playing dances. So whatever acoustic or maybe electric guitar was just coming into play. So when Sally Mountain Show was born, that was my grandpa Bill, mom and dad, aunts, my Aunt Catherine, Uncle Pearl, cousins Joe and Ricky. Plus, there were other people. There was Al White on the fiddle. Jack Heron was a comedian. So many others. Phil Baker, Boyd Halford. So our very first documentation was a TV show that we had in 1967, long before you guys were ever thought about.
You don't know how old.
So 1967, this is the Sally Mountain Show. They were together before that, but when we had that television show, that's when they named us the Sally Mountain Show. It wasn't just the Vincent family. We were on at, I think, 5 a.m. every Friday, live on TV with the Farm Report. So
Gotcha.
That's when the first documentation, and I was 5 and would sing, and so here we are.
And it was mostly more acoustic country, right?
Well, it
leaned
was
more that direction.
It was a mixture at that point. My dad he played electric guitar, he played banjo. And he had probably only been playing banjo 2 or 3 years, but Dad played fiddle, he played everything. But it was a mixture of all these different styles. My Aunt Catherine sang like Kitty Wells. She, to this day, if she sings to you, you think Kitty Wells was in the room.
Awesome.
But then Grandpa Bill might sing a Bill Monroe song. Dad might sing Porter Wagner, Uncle Pearl. So there was this many varied of styles that was presented, and I think that's something that I've carried through is these different, because that's what I grew up with. There was something for everyone, depending on there's so many different people, it brought a bunch of different styles.
Sure.
Not just saying I'm within the perimeters of country, I'm within the perimeters of bluegrass. So there were all these different styles. We ended up, after my grandpa passed away, it was Mom and Dad and I, as the Sally Mountain Trio. We played at Marceline, Missouri at the Frontier Jamboree, which is why I started playing it. When I was 6, I had a snare drum. That was my birthday present, and I
Really?
was the drummer for the Sally Mountain Show.
So when are you going to hire your first drummer for the new band?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking about. I'm gonna ponder that for a while,
bet you
John.
are.
I'll ponder that. But I saw a picture recently. I had no idea there was any picture of me playing the snare with. I think it was with Shot Jackson.
Awesome.
Showbud, so pretty cool.
That is really cool.
This is simple economics. I started playing mandolin because when I was 8, the Buck Cody, the proprietor, decided whoever didn't play an instrument didn't get paid. Now all of the musicians
Nothing like pay for motivation.
I know, right? So, and there were a lot of wives that were singing, and I was just singing and not really playing much. So that was anybody who doesn't play an instrument, and each musician got $10 for this Saturday night. And so Dad said, here's the mandolin, here's G, C, and D, and you're going to be playing this for 2.5 hours every Saturday night. So started playing there. It's 1969, we went to our very first bluegrass festival in Ottumwa, Iowa. And that's when I think the focus, my father had a car wreck when I was 2, paralyzed from the neck down, not expected to walk, said, Lord, give me one good leg and I'll drag the other one. And that's exactly what happened. So he gained his mobility, but I think that was a real turning point to where we were doing country, and we still did some dances and electric guitar and that sort of thing. The focus then became bluegrass because he could take his family,
Sure.
play, and then made a living at one point. Darren came along, and I guess that was '69. Darren was born.
So then you're starting to do all those, and then you start get to start working with Jim Ed Brown. Correct?
Well, that's
Quite a
years
few
later.
years later.
1985.
Yeah, I'm skipping around.
Yeah, boy, you did skip around. You went from 1967 to 1985.
Nothing consequential happened.
Yeah, nothing happened that's worth talking about at that point.
I know,
We
but
only have so long to talk here.
I know,
Rhonda.
I know.
You gave us a hard out, so
There's a lot of stuff in between, and here I am today.
no, you got to do. You did get to go out on the road for a long time with Jim Ed Brown, and was doing more country stuff. And I remember you talking about this, and your dad talked about it too one time, of having Allison Krauss be your fill-in for that time period with the family band.
That's right, 6 months or more, because when I came back at October of '85, she traveled with us, continued. We played twin fiddles. I don't even think she was singing at the time. I think she was just playing.
That's awesome.
And so we, at that point, traveled together. I saw a picture, and I looked at it. It's like, wait a minute, because she wore my clothes, and our hairstyles were very similar. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not me. That's Allison with my family.
Who's that girl with my family?
A wonderful time, yeah. So and people are astonished by that. Growing up with her. Well, I'm 10 years older than her, actually. So here's a little tidbit that's kind of current that cracked me up.
Okay.
Now that I should probably never bring this to anyone. I said, no, let's keep
Don't
this.
worry, we don't have
let's keep
we
this.
don't have
we have like fives of people listening to this thing. So
Let's keep this under wraps. So there was a post recently, I think it's Bluegrass Life, and they made a post of the women. It was Allison and me and Sierra Hull and all these. I can't remember what the post was from. Maybe the first of the year or something, a new year. No, it was National Women's Day. So there's probably, I don't know if there's 9, 12, 15 women in this picture. Mm-hmm. Well, the comment, if you go back and look, this person was appalled. And I received the greatest compliment of my lifetime. And I sent this to Allison too, because I said, Allison, we have just received the greatest compliments of our lives. Because on that post, a lady is appalled. She goes, why is it that you only post pictures of the young, beautiful women, and there's no one in their 50s or 60s? Wow. I said, man, is this the greatest compliment in my life? Because Allison might be in her 50s, and I might be in my 60s.
Might be.
Not going to say that real.
I'm not even touching this one with a 10-foot pole.
But do you see?
You guys are definitely in your 20s.
You guys really are.
That.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
No, because nobody ever mistook me for being young or good looking.
Don't go back. Don't go be telling that lady any different either.
We should do a whole episode on the comments we get. They're nothing that we would write home about or call friends to celebrate.
So anyway, I'm going to bring it back to your touring.
We're jumping back to 1970 now.
Yeah, which year? I'm confused now. I tried to bring us to 2023.
I won't do it. I refuse.
We're not saying any specific years, so you don't know what year this is, really.
So you're out touring with Jim Ed Brown, country music, full on.
Yes.
Then you come back to doing bluegrass again.
I did. I hit a thing and said, am I going to, Herb said we would only be married a year. So Herb said, okay, I can work anywhere. Either I'm moving to Nashville. Like he was still living in Kirksville, and I was in Nashville, and we were just meeting in the middle somewhere occasionally. And he said, this is not working. Either I'm coming there and I'm going to move there, we're moving there, or you're coming back home. One of the two. He said, I don't care which one it is. And you know what? Bless him for never saying, you cannot do this or you can't do that. He always was
who's going
like,
to pay for his golf?
That's right, or fishing. This is true. But yeah, never once, but
again, I get to say that because I know he's not going to hear it and he can't yell at me for this later.
Well, and let me just say, early on, he was the guy working 5 jobs and still allowing me to follow my dream. So, people, they don't really know about that part. And I don't want to give him too many.
Having Sally and Tinsel to take care of.
Yeah, Mr. Mom. Yeah. He would work. He always said, listen, you take care of the kids and you clean and cook and that sort of thing, and I'll take care of everything else. I'll work. And then it didn't work out like he thought. See, I wasn't there to cook and clean or take care of the kids. And I'm off, following my dream here. And he's there working, and now he's... I always have to say, he retired December of 2022. And I at first was very upset about that because he booked me.
Yeah.
And I said, and I'm thinking, how dare you? Because you're fishing and booking me at the same time. What are you going to retire from, right?
I was thinking the same thing, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
I wasn't going to bring that up.
And then I said, this guy has let me follow my dream all of my life. He's never once said, oh, don't take off for weeks and not come home. Don't. He's never said, whatever the opportunity was, like, I'm right there with you, whatever you need to do. And I said, he's let me do that. This is his dream. He wants to retire, so
let him do it.
He deserves to do that. So
I remember the first time I met Herb. We were up at the family festival up there in Kirksville, Sally Mountain Show Bluegrass Festival, and you had a stay afterwards. We stayed. I think an evening at your house with your kids, and it was okay with you because you gave permission for this. We all hung out there, and then Herb had a restaurant in town.
we own Bogies. Yes.
Yeah, and we went over there, and we showed up. He didn't like me then either, so. So yes, he's been part of a lot of different things, throughout the year, and then became your booking agent, which again, the easiest gig ever. Do you want to have Rhonda back again next year? Okay, cool. That was pretty much it. That's how he was doing it, because she already
then he
had
gets
the
to the
busiest
rider
schedule.
and the M&Ms and the demands.
Slightly green bananas. That's the big one on our rider.
The Acoustic Shoppe Knows People is brought to you by the Acoustic Shoppe.
It's in the name.
Have you ever wanted to play the banjo?
Yeah.
Were you always afraid your family would laugh and ridicule you?
totally do that.
Oh, well, we can't replace your family, but we can get you a banjo that's loud enough to drown out their jeering and laughter. And in the end, Jeremy, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Stop by the Acoustic Shoppe in Springfield, Missouri, or go to thecousticshoppe.com to find happiness in a banjo with all the accessories you need to bring that next office party to the next level, banjo style.
There is no party like a banjo party.
And a banjo party don't stop.
That's when I left Jim Ed Brown, October of 1985. The day I left, he said, I want you to swing by the house, get your last check. He talked to me for 2 or 3 hours. He said, listen, you really need to be in Nashville. If you're ever going to be seen, if you're ever going to do anything, you need to be in Nashville. And he said, because Jim Ed was so great to me, and he always believed in me, and he always featured me. And I mean, my first night on the Opry, this was April of 1985. And here he's the host of the segment. He did the song, somebody else was on, and he turned to me and he said, you're going to do the next song. What are you going to do? I mean, my first night with him was at the Grand Ole Opry, and he featured me that night and every night, and just amazing, and always encouraged me, wanted me to play. Here's I want you to play, I want you to sing, and just was such an encourager. But he did not want me to leave the band, and he said, don't leave Nashville, you need to be here. But I went home, and what I did, I wrote letters, actually with pen and paper. I know we email now, we didn't have that.
And did you use cursive instead of...
I used cursive. I did not print. They probably couldn't read it. This is probably what happened. But I wrote letters to all of the bluegrass labels at that time, Rounder and Rebel, and every label I wrote them. And I got rejection letters from everyone except for one, and it was Rebel Records.
And I have that album.
New Dreams and Sunshine, and they allowed me to, that was my first official, I guess, recording on my own, Bela Fleck, and, so many, just...
Was it Russ Barenberg played
Russ
on there?
Barenberg was playing guitar, and I think Roy Husky or Darren, I think they shared. I think Darren played some of those, and I think Roy Husky came in and played on some of them too. But anyway, that kind of became, that was the very first time that I basically was traveling with the family, but started recording as a solo artist. I don't know if that's what you're getting to.
No, I have nothing what I was getting to. I'm just going through this whole
is all
thing. Because
pointless.
there's so many cool things with Rhonda throughout the years that, again,
We'll have to do 100 of these podcasts to get everything
get
in.
them all in. Because you did solo stuff, and I'm still following it. And I became a huge, Rhonda Vincent fan. I was doing all kinds of following you guys and watching shows. And then Then you did a country career for a while with Giant Records. And again, me and Jason just pulled out this album the other day, the Written in the Stars album. I love that album.
Oh,
I think it's
thanks.
it's one of the greater country albums. It was just in a time when there was a lot of stuff going on.
I can't find my copy of that album
'Cause I have
the only one that's
I could
on
probably fix
Spotify
you
now
up.
is Trouble Free.
Do you want
That's what
cassette?
I-
Do you want it on cassette or CD?
Yes, my
Jason?
truck. No. My truck doesn't even have a CD player.
No
anymore.
CD players anymore, even so. Yeah, but those are great albums.
Those two,
both of them fantastic country albums, and you did that for a while, and then I remember the big move. Rhonda's coming back to bluegrass, and that's when I think
we
it was
played the first
officially-
show maybe with.
Well, we played a couple shows with you in the bands leading up. I want to say I know Bull Harmon was playing guitar.
If you think of Rage, you can
Yes.
find all the names.
Well, I can't
Because that's how I
remember.
came up with it, or Herb came up with the name.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Rhonda,
Rhonda.
Audie.
Alan.
Yes.
Alan
no, When I
Jones.
saw you, it was actually Bob Black.
That was after. Yeah, that wasn't the very first one. So yeah.
It wasn't the very first.
First was Alan, Joey, and Earl.
Yeah.
Alan Jones and
Joey
Joey
Winneman.
Winneman.
Yep.
And Earl.
I just
Husey.
remember going to every festival and you were introduced the wrong way every time. It would be
Rajay.
either Rajay
I
or
know.
Raji.
I was like, okay. Then all of a sudden it was Rob, Bob, and Bull. So I got rid of the J and just made it Rhonda and the Rage, and that made it easier.
And that was a big move because everybody was talking about Rhonda's come back to bluegrass because those were significant country albums. I mean, Randy Travis on some of those
Yes.
cuts.
Dolly
and,
was on it.
Yeah, and it's country as what was happening in 90s country
96
era.
and 98, I think, are the years those came out.
So that's, power, and then come back, and then that's officially, I think, when Rhonda was declared the queen of
I
bluegrass.
think it built up a little after that. I'd like clarification on this story. And this, I'll preface it by saying
get it.
Rhonda is probably she's for me an example of like hard work and just you have kind of this insatiable drive to just be doing stuff to keep furthering your career and growing. But we had heard the story that Martha White was obviously huge history with bluegrass music with Les Flatt and Earl Scruggs and sponsoring bluegrass music in general. But there was a pretty big gap there where they weren't associated with any artists. And the story was that Rhonda basically went and worked up the Martha White song, kind of just made her way into a board meeting or some sort of meeting with the Martha White people and just kicked off the song and said, hey, we want to be the new face of Martha White in bluegrass.
I like that story a lot.
Is that better than that?
I love that. I wish I had known that a long time ago.
That's not how it happened?
Well, half of it, sort of. But no, I did. I recorded it. It was the second album for Rounder, The Storm Still Rages. And we had finished recording for the day, and the band was in there like, let's cut something else. It's like, oh, I don't really have anything. Martha White had just done a contest, a theme, of if you sang their theme and sent it in and you could win something. And I said, well, let's record the Martha White theme. And they just ran back to the microphones. We recorded it all live. And then, so it took me a year to find a contact. I encourage you to try to get to the way, I had
We
no
tried
idea.
it with Bass Pro once.
Yeah,
Johnny
I had
Morris, it
no
did not
idea
work
the
either.
way the way that works. They have different offshoot companies representing them, and you can't find them. Well, the crazy thing is, Martha White was wanting to get back into bluegrass. Little did I know, they had sent an email to IBMA, who sent it out to all of the managers and all of the people and the people associated with that. Do you
It
know?
never made it to our desk. by
No
the way.
one responded.
okay.
Not one person responded. But as every time I would talk to somebody, I'd say, "Man, I recorded the theme, and I'm trying to find somebody with Martha White." And they said, "Hey, they just sent a thing out and about they're looking to sponsor a bluegrass artist." I'm like, really? It really is a great example of how God, in His own timing, brings everything together, the right time in the right place. Because I found the person. I got all of a sudden this phone number for this woman in Florida. And I called it.
Of course,
and I
when
said,
you think Martha White, Florida.
yeah, right. See, they were at that time based in Minnesota. This is this disconnect. And I said, her name was Virginia Pattison, or is Virginia Pattison, a dear friend still. And I said, told her who I was. I said, in my letter, I had written that I taught my daughters to cook using Martha White and had grown up listening to the Martha White show, and I would love to represent their company. So I sent her when I talked to her, I sent her the song that I had recorded, and she wrote back and said, what is it that you're looking for? And this is, people had invited me after this to be part of their sponsorship meetings and seminars, and it's like, this is not any great secret information. It is, and I guess sort of part of the story. I know now what you're talking about, because I basically was looking for this person, and she said, there's no standard contract, there's no standard anything, which is probably my entire life. It's just like willy-nilly and spontaneous and impromptu. And she said, what are you looking for? I said, well, you know what? I need transportation. That's what I'm looking for. And they provided our very first bus. But so probably what you're talking about, the company was based in Minnesota, and once again, God's timing. We were in doing Garrison Keillor's Prairie Home Companion, and all of the company that owned Martha White at the time came to that show. And Virginia said, now they're coming to your show, they're coming to see you. We did the Prairie Home Companion. We did a show in that theater right after Prairie Home Companion that night. All of Martha White was coming to see us. I was so nervous. And she said, they will probably come and talk to you after the show. So we played our show, and afterwards I sat, after I signed, and I waited, and no one from Martha White came back. I said, oh no, they don't like what we do. They didn't like it. And I didn't hear from anybody. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from them that said, we want to sponsor you. And so that was that pivotal moment. And probably that's what you're saying, the board meeting. It wasn't exactly there, but...
I do like my story better.
Isn't that?
Seems like a lot more work.
So I'm going to let you tell. From now on, if somebody says, how did you get the sponsorship?
Rhonda just kicked down the door, and they just rushed in there and just started playing it.
I love it, yes.
The board of directors said, you're hired.
That's great.
But it kicked off a great relationship. For Bluegrass, again, just to have Martha White reassociated. But for you... touring around in that bus for, what was it, probably 15 years?
15 years with them.
You were on the face of a number of different muffins.
Blueberry muffin packages, yes. I don't forget how many millions of the blueberry muffins.
I cannot tell you how many freebies of tchotchkes and things from Martha White I got.
I have one of those little bitty cast iron.
Oh, the skillets. They were going to change their logo. You know, it was from the Pie Lady. First it was the baby. Yeah. Then they made it into the Pie Lady. And then it was going to change it. They changed it several times while I was with them. But because they changed the logo, they emptied out a warehouse. And I came home to my place in Nashville one day, and there had been a delivery, a semi-truck delivery that had filled the porch to the ceiling, to the roof. The entire porch was filled with Martha White things like T-shirts. I forgot how many boxes. I still have a shed full of Martha White T-shirts.
What'd you say?
A shed full of Martha White T-shirts and skillets and measuring cups and spatulas and pencils, and I can't remember all the things.
I remember not long after, because I think this had to happen, like not long after that, we came and stayed at the studio in there, and Rhonda comes and invited us to stay, which again, the kindest person in the entire world, and I'll get to that too. But
tell
as
me
we're
more.
There,
Say it more, John. Just keep on.
Yeah, I know. I can do it. As we're there, all of a sudden, at the end of the stay there, she's got like this box full of everything that you can think of from Martha White. She's like, take some of this home with you.
Please.
And I took a whole mess of it home. So
onesies.
Onesies. I had a little bit of everything. So, but yeah.
Jason still wears his.
Just buckle two of them together. Anyway. Another great story that I heard, and I think I heard it from you.
Yeah, we'll make up another one.
Yeah, let's make up another story.
This is what I heard from you.
Another example of Rhonda's drive and just getting out there was the Merle Haggard story of how you guys started and opening for Merle. I believe it was you guys were just touring when Merle was playing somewhere nearby.
In Florida, once again, in the Villages where Virginia Pattison, see how this all circles around? Virginia Pattison lives at the Villages, but we were playing down there. We were playing actually like 4 hours away from there. Merle Haggard has a sold-out show at the Villages, and I'm like, we have a day off, and I'm looking to see what's going on. It's like, Merle Haggard, I've never met him. I've sang with him. This is one of the highlights of my life. I got asked to sing on the George Jones Merle Haggard duet project, and I got to sing on 5 songs, one of which was with both of them. The others were like they did each song. So, but I never got to meet him because neither one of them were there whenever I recorded. And his driver had been to our show in Bakersfield years ago. And I said, I wonder if I still have the phone number. It's like, how could I get a hold of Merle Haggard? Because I want to go see him. The show was sold out, so we could not get tickets. Called this guy up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Of course you did.
Florida time. Well, he's driving Merle that night and answered his phone. I said, hey, we would love to come to the show. And I said, you know what? Not only would we love to come to the show, could we open the show for you guys there? It's our day off. And he goes, you know what? Because he called him Chief. He said, I'll talk to the Chief in the morning. So we're 4 hours away, mind you. And I thought to myself, if we go ahead and drive up there, that will jinx this whole thing. So we're just going to sit tight. We're 4 hours away. We're going to sit here. 10 o'clock the next morning, 11, 12, 1, 2, 4 hours before 2 o'clock, obviously. He calls and he said, the Chief said to come on. He wants you to do a few songs. Come on up here. So now we have 4 hours to drive. Guess what time sound check is that we're supposed to be there? 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. I wake up the driver. I said, we have to go. We've got to get to the villages, and we got 4 hours, and we got to be there by 2 o'clock because Merle Haggard said that's when we're supposed to be there for sound check, and we're going to open for him. I wake everybody up on the bus. I'm so excited, and we got to meet him that night and take pictures. So when we arrived, when our bus pulled in, his wife, Teresa, came over to my bus and said, hey, come on over and talk to Merle. And the first thing I did, I get there, I go on Merle's bus. Teresa, Merle, their dogs, they have those little chihuahuas, and sitting there, and it was the most surreal experience.
I'll bet.
I'm sitting at the back of Merle Haggard's bus and going, I just can't believe this. But anyway, he was so nice. He played Hunter's fiddle even because he's a fiddler.
Guy, yeah.
And so it was just, we got to open for him. It was just an amazing experience, and I'm so thankful that we got to do that. But yeah, I mean, I guess if the advice to people is like, if it's something you want to do, go try it. I mean, you guys do the same thing. You get ideas. Let's do this, right?
Yeah, and then we force Rhonda to do them.
It is something that we have kind of learned from Rhonda's example. Is
Exactly.
We were so bad as a band to even ask for anything or we wanted to be so far back and just, if somebody really wanted to do something for us, they'd do it, But we've learned as we got further into business that, asking for things isn't a bad thing, and actually using those connections to help you out a little bit and see what could happen. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I want to, again, and I've said this on many different occasions. I've told you this. I've never met anybody that is a harder worker in the music industry than Rhonda Vincent. And that is absolutely the truth. I'll tell you another story that I remember. You invited me and my wife had just been married not too long, and you invited us to stay at the studio. You were out of town, and you said, I'll be in there like Wednesday or Thursday or, whatever. And that was a second home for you because you had a studio downstairs, but you had a place upstairs. And I said, well, where are we supposed to stay? She just gave us the key code and just go. And I'm like, where are you supposed to stay? Well, my room's open. And I'm like, okay, so I guess that's where I'm staying. But it came in there. You came in during the week. And this is absolute truth. She said, I'm going to make sure we get time to go to dinner, and we're going to do a couple things. But you came in, I have never seen anybody with a busier appointment because you had just come in off the road, off of a trip, like on Monday. Tuesday, you had meetings all day long. We did schedule some stuff in. Wednesday, you had meetings all day long and signings. And I was like, she's got 3 days off of the road, yet she's working harder than I think she was when she's actually out on the road. I've never seen anything like it, and I've known you for a lot of years. It's always that way. Always that way. You're always on. You're always working to make things happen. And it's not just for your career, but also for the band's careers. Everybody that's involved, all the guys that work for you, all talk about how that you help them to figure out how to make their careers better, and not just as a member of the Rage, but as individual musicians too. I admire it a lot. You've always been super generous with it. I know nobody that works harder, and it's
for
been
example,
awesome to see this. Yeah.
You have some time off between driving Herb to a golf tournament, and you're hanging out with us.
Exactly.
I
wouldn't say this is going to further your career, but it's something.
I was talking to Sweet Brenda this morning, and she goes, well, what do you do? And I said, man, I didn't sleep very well. I'm so tired. Well, what are you going to do today? I said, well, I'm actually going over to the Acoustic Shoppe with the Chapmans. She goes, of course you are. She goes, you're not going to sleep in and just lay around this morning, are you? It's like, who wants to do that?
Me? I didn't want to be here for this.
You guys I would say, you just blew overnight. Whose grand idea was that?
That's Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy. He's the best.
in charge of flights anymore. You handle it.
Well, I don't want to handle it. I want to complain about you doing it. So
That's more fun, isn't it?
absolutely.
Doggone it! If I had somebody to do that, I could complain about it.
Jeremy's all in on this. By the way,
guess you
It's for the first time we got to have some upgrades because Jeremy's got these cards now, and then we even got to go in the Delta
Lounge.
the lounge.
Oh, I've never
this
gotten to
last
do
time.
that.
Oh, we did.
Now,
Let me
what's
tell you,
that?
that's an experience in there.
Well, so what is it behind those doors? I've never seen that
You
before.
gotta go. You gotta do
What do you
this.
get to do?
So I
This
went in
was
there.
because we had that red
Foot
eye
massages?
flight.
Pretty
they probably have
close.
them. This is the red eye flight, and we got a hotel for the day because we had the entire day of Sunday waiting
Doing
for our
nothing.
flight. So like we should try to get some sleep. So we did that, and then we got bored sitting at the hotel. So we're like, oh, just go to the airport. We got there about 9:30, and then our flight didn't leave till
1
we
o'clock.
boarded at 12 a.m.
Ooh,
So we're hanging out. Jeremy's like, well, we'll just go in there. And he's got enough points to get us all into there.
Nice.
I'm telling you, behind that deal, they got this. This was, by the way, at the LAX airport. So it's probably a pretty nice, an
I
extra
bet that's
nice
fancy.
one. So we get this escalator up into this grand room.
Yes.
They've got a buffet up there
Ooh.
with food. They've got multiple coffee makers that
Private showers.
oh my
I did
goodness!
not know. Yes, did you
Really
know
nice
that
private bathrooms?
Delta has private showers, and then you go into this bathroom, and all the stalls are like private, like
It's their own
walled
room.
in, decorative.
Well, those are usually
bathrooms.
when I go to the restroom. They're all walled in. I guess that's not true in the men's.
No, I mean the entire thing. You can't touch stuff underneath or anything.
They're,
They're like
they're
big
like-
doors.
I'm talking
and
like a
private
room,
area.
like-
Oh, it's a
like-
room.
It's a
Yeah.
room like sealed off with these heavy doors and the whole deal.
Now that I'm claustrophobic. That seems a little freaky to me. Would not like that.
But it was a good way to kill a few hours.
I
while we were waiting for our
can just
flight.
see Rhonda going to the bathroom and having a panic attack
Oh,
right
yes.
there.
I don't like those.
I
I
just
like
blew
to be
up
able
Jason's
to
system
crawl
right
under
there.
the door if I have to. As
Talk
a
to your
child,
neighbor.
Here's your, as
Who's
a
going to
child,
hold your sleeves? Nobody's going to be.
as a child, I would always lock myself in the bathroom. I have so many traumatic. No wonder I would not like that. There's some trivia for you.
All right, there you go. But they had a full open bar. They have actual showers.
So you don't have to pay for any. It's like everything's free when you go in there.
Everything's
You can
free.
drink anything you want. You can eat anything you want.
And you
We
get
hung
to
out
Spend
on-
as much
They
time in
have
the
top-
bathroom.
yeah, they have top shelf stuff that you have to pay more for.
Oh, okay.
But everything else is all just wide open for you. And then
I hate to
decided
admit
explore.
that when we finally had to leave and get to the gate, and you just see what the peasants are where they're sitting. Like we forget that until this one trip, that was us. Every trip, we're like, these
So
poor
we
people
should-
have to sit out here at the gate.
So we should just all meet at the airport and just go into
go to the
one of these
lounge, yeah.
lounges. This will be like a staycation.
Actually, I think that's what you should do is book a flight, show up 4 or 5 days early.
I think they have some restrictions.
And this it's
a hotel.
And then you just get your flight and then come back.
Is there a place to sleep?
Some of them do. They
That's
have
some
these
couches.
they call them like minute lounges or something, or minute suites, and you get your own bed in there, and you spend a few hours in there.
Nap, have a little nap, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of couches that
fancy.
people are laying down, and like comfy couches and stuff. Yeah,
lot of setup for business.
Delta has a good one. I'm assuming United and all that too. Again, if you guys are listening to this podcast, we would
Contact Jeremy. He
please-
knows the cards you need to get for the miles.
Not just that, I want to talk to Delta, United, any other airlines
for a
that want
sponsor
to
for the
Looking for
podcast.
free
sponsor
flights.
for the acoustic
free
shop.
flights.
I don't even care about the free flights. Just
Just let us in
upgrade
the
us.
lounge.
I've never flown a
Access.
first class.
I did one
flight.
time. Me and my wife went to Vegas.
But it was JetBlue.
on Spirit. No, it was on Spirit.
So JetBlue, I'm sorry, we
way to
would
go.
like that sponsorship, but
Way to
Jeremy
blow
does
that
not belong on
Jeremy.
it.
So we did
Airlines first
Spirit.
class is coach everywhere else.
We did Spirit, and we bid on our app to get upgrade seats, and we got upgraded to first class, first row, front, forward, and back. And man, I never wanted to go back.
Oh, I bet that's right.
Some room in space.
We went off topic there a lot, but
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
This is,
though.
welcome back to Airline Talk.
We were in Los Angeles once, and we went and got a massage, and they had a napping room, which was really strange because it's just nothing but a marble floor, and there were these people just laying. I mean,
On
you
the
just
floor?
on the floor on a marble floor, and you just went in and laid down on a marble with all of these. I got to think since 2020. Do they still have that?
They spray with
Next time you go
Lysol.
to Los Angeles, go check that out and see if all those people are still napping together. There's probably 100 people in there napping.
I like that
There
LA
reminds me-
also has a pet relief area next to a lot
Most
of their
airports do now,
bathrooms.
yeah.
I've never seen that before.
There's one in St. Louis,
Fake,
I
it's
know
like
the-
fake grass. The dogs go in and do their thing, and
And a fake fire hydrant. in the middle of it.
Rhonda's story of LA. She seems to know the massage places in each town, but I think in my phone I still have this. She was telling me about this place that her and Tinsel went in New York City. And it's
my
now let me warn you,
goodness.
you have to be nude. So I've got it in my phone as nude massage place. I don't go to New York City, so I've never been there, but it's still on my phone. It's like, you've got to try this out. It was the best massage I've ever had.
Well, we were in this hotel.
Again, this is going to be cut from some live venue.
Never mind.
It's only allowed on podcasts.
Never mind. Strike that from the record, please.
I'm going to call that up. Is this the nude massage place?
They've moved now.
They moved. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You'll never be.
And I haven't been to
able
the
find
new
same.
place, the old place. I happen to find them in a while. So.
Anyway, as you can see, spend a lot of time with Rhonda. And we share a lot here. No, it is always a wonderful time to get to hang out with you, talk about stuff. Again, I know we're going to do a little bit of the business deal. If you haven't checked out RhondaVincent.com, lots and lots of information about where they're going to be. Rhonda is now a full-fledged member of the Grand Ole Opry. Again, how awesome is that?
What a great year to be inducted.
Yeah, the best year ever. She gets told about it, and then it takes 2 years till she actually gets to get the whole thing to happen. But because of COVID, by the way, it wasn't because she wasn't good enough.
No.
Thank you for that clarification.
I wasn't thinking that, but now I am.
Now I am. That's why I did it. But seriously, check them out. The band is just killing it these days.
Do you guys really get free meals at Cracker Barrel, or is that a rumor too?
I have
Grand Ole
not.
Opry members?
I have not.
I thought you guys got like a Cracker
I
Barrel
heard
card.
that's wrong. Yeah, I heard that was a big lie.
I think there was at one time.
Yeah.
Since I've been a member, they've just said no more.
They just
COVID
knew your
shut
band what they
While you're doing this, John, I do want to take a moment to brag on the band right now. I think some of the best harmonies I've heard with you in a long Zach, we played with you at Winfield, and we sat in the audience and just were blown away with Zach singing with
is
you.
a
You guys
tight-
were tight.
Tight.
I wasn't
tight
as impressed with his performance up in Washington because he was in an ambulance the whole show.
Now we got to tell that story.
Now we have to tell that story because that
We're trying
actually
to close
shows
out the
up.
podcast, but let's just go with another story.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite rage story ever. Zach has been with the band, I don't know, about 6-8 months at this point, and we're up playing a festival, which it's the first time we've been out as a band as the
before
Chapmans
2020?
since probably 2019 or something. And we get out there, and we've all done a couple shows. No, that was your first show of that festival, I believe. And then all of a sudden, we're hanging backstage, and Zach's there, and everybody's warming up. And then all of a sudden, there's an ambulance behind the stage, and I see them carrying, or kind of carting Zach into this ambulance.
And this is 15 minutes before our first set.
Just like right beforehand.
he's like a ghost looking. Like he's so pale and.
Yeah, he got really sick all of a sudden right before the show.
And I think he's got some diabetic types of stuff going on, blood sugar issues. He was telling us about, or something was going on. But anyway, he's now sitting in an ambulance, and I'm sitting here like, okay. And the band's still going on. I asked Rhonda, I said, is it good to go? And she just looks at me and she goes, oh, it's okay. We just swap out people and we just move them in. And it's totally what happened. All of a sudden we got one moving to guitar, one moving to here. And it was like a dominoes game or something that we just swap out players and they just walk up on stage. And then they release Zach like 30 minutes later because they got his blood sugar back up and the whole deal. And I'm just standing out in the audience watching the whole show. She's just gone on with this whole show like
I think
nothing.
the majority of the audience didn't realize that one of their main singers and harmony guys was in an ambulance backstage. Like the show must go on.
But that's part of the a great thing that's going on with this band right now. You have is they're all so talented that you are swapping people out when they can't make a show. You just go, all right, well then I'll move you to here and you play this, and all of a sudden you've got a new band that's the same band.
They are. I love that we have these options. It gives us such a variety, different sounds, different things we do. And just for the record, so as Zach is in that ambulance and driving, so they want to get his sugar up, and they gave him a ham sandwich, and it has mayo on it.
Really?
He doesn't like it. And so they're giving him a sandwich. And he's like, so he's sick. He's in an ambulance. And he's like, they're trying to make him eat this. And he goes, but I don't like mayonnaise. And they go, eat it anyway. And they made him eat a ham sandwich. That is this the whole crux of that he remembers from that is that they made him eat a ham sandwich. No, not anything else. That he was sick, he could have died, but that they made him eat a ham sandwich with mayonnaise on it. That is what to this day drives him crazy. But no, I feel so blessed to travel with these amazing musicians. And, Mickey Harris on the bass, 20-year member. Yeah. And, he can virtually pick up, any instrument. Mm-hmm. Aaron McDarris from Hartville, a fellow Missourian.
I don't care for him very much. He worked here for a short amount of time. Ends up his work ethic not that great. Just kidding. I'm absolutely kidding.
Ron's much better. Some of our talent. Yeah.
So Aaron's on banjo. He's been here 13 years. And, those guys there's the veterans of the group. And then, we have regrouped in the last few, I guess a couple of years, 2 or 3 years. Jeff Parton joined us on dobro, now 3 years as a member of the Rage.
An extremely versatile musician. Plays
Jeff
everything.
Is the guy. Yeah, he's like, what do you call that? The utility man.
He's absolutely a utility man.
With him in the band, if somebody's like, I'm sorry, but I can't make it this weekend, or not usually on a weekend, but at the Opry, we get to, we'll switch around a lot of times. And if that's the case, Zach can't make it, or whoever can't make it, Jeff goes to guitar, Zach might go to banjo if Aaron doesn't come in for the Opry, or Jeff is an amazing bass player. Whatever we need, Jeff can pretty much cover that, except for fiddle. He said he doesn't. And you know what? He even challenged himself and us the other day. He's thinking that he is going to learn a triple fiddle, the third fiddle.
I know he can do it.
He can.
Yeah.
He can. And it amazes me that he wants to do this, right? Why would he need to? He plays everything else for pity's sakes.
Just because he can.
Yep.
I want to put my name in the hat for filling in for Rhonda. When
I've done it. Like in our band, I've seen her parts. It's true.
Yes, you have, haven't you? And then we have Zach Arnold, who we've been talking about. He's about to his second anniversary. When we announced he joined the Rage, we were actually at Silver Dollar City on Mother's Day. And so he's about to have an anniversary when we go back to Silver Dollar City. But he is a premier vocalist in bluegrass music, and he's only 22, I guess. Well, we're not going to date this
or
anything.
He's just a kid.
Yeah, he's just very young. He was born in 2000. Just let me say that. Born in 2000, and so he is now continues to learn. And he was a mandolin player who joined us on guitar, same as Josh Williams. Josh was really a mandolin player or played other things. Josh Williams was one of the first fiddle players in the Rage. So another guy that plays everything. Yeah. And so Zach brings all of this excitement of this youth and new things. Hey, I want to do this, and I love that. I love the freshness of that. But his vocals and the harmonies that he brings, that's when your own daughter comes up and says, Sally said, "Wow, I've never heard your harmonies any better."
It's
so
true.
that is very exciting. With Jeff and Zach, they bring this just amazing sound. And then most recently, just weeks ago, Adam Haynes joined us on fiddle. And once again, one of the sweetest men that I have ever met. I absolutely, like Aaron said, has never heard a bad word said about Adam Haynes. Yeah.
And let me fix that.
Do you know something about him we need to know?
How much time do we have on this podcast?
But no, I love working with Adam. And he also, not only do they bring the performance on stage, but we now have recording rigs everywhere. Jeff has a studio at his house. Adam has a studio at his house. Zach and I just put rigs at our house. So we are going into recording mania. They are on the bus now after the show, writing songs, playing songs, recording, mixing, doing all this. So it's become this perpetual thing about music and recording and just the creativity that they're bringing. Awesome. Zach needs to have his own album, and he's kind of started that process, but he is writing these songs. And I just want to say I love working with these guys. It's not only great musicians, incredible musicians, but great people. And that's so important. We're probably with each other more than we are with our families. And so it's very important that you have just amazing people. And they truly are good Christian men. And I love them all so very much. And I feel very thankful.
Yeah.
That well said. Except for a couple of them.
Ditto. No, that's true.
We'll talk about that off camera.
We do have a history with pretty much every one of those guys, a long history.
Every single one of them.
They're all great
Great
guys.
bunch of people.
Yeah.
Good to Good to know.
And again, I want to. I know we're going to kind of wrap it up. I want to thank you for coming by. I want to personally thank you for everything you have done, not just musically for us and myself, but also our families. My kids absolutely adore you.
Oh, I love
you know that. And Rhonda has always been super generous with her time and efforts. And again, I think everybody who's out there will know that. There is nobody that spends more time at the signing booth waiting till the very last person is done before she goes. And this is after, sweating to death on stage and being worn out. And like now, showing up here, without sleep and just making her way into here. Always wonderful, always fun to hang out with. There are a billion more stories I know that you could share, even ones with us. And just thank you for doing
This is part one.
This is part one.
Thank you
To
all.
be
I love you guys.
continued.
Yeah, that's
Dot.
Wait till I come back to Springfield, Missouri.
She's back. Anyway, thank you so much for doing it. And thanks for being with us here at the Acoustic Shoppe Knows People, where we know Rhonda. Thank you. Are we done? All right. Is that over yet?
Start recording.
The end.
Will you push the button?
That was a great practice run. Guys, that was a lot of fun. I did the intro, so you should do the outro. Go.
So Rhonda Vincent, Rhonda honestly is always so fun to talk to. It's so fun to get to actually, because we're normally just sitting backstage and talking about things for a short period, and then she's got to get on stage, or she's coming to do some sort of commercial with us and helping us out with something, or perform with us or something. This is the first time we really got to sit down for a long period of time and talk about things other than the TV show, which again was shorter than that. But so great to talk to her and get to know her a little bit even more better.
Even more better.
I think, it sounds like we're just trying to suck up to Rhonda by saying how generous and nice she is. But honestly, we've been out to eat with her a number of times, and she's got to be the biggest tipper I've ever seen. Like, she treats the wait staff like people should treat them. Like,
enough that I want to actually become wait staff.
like a lot of times we'll go to restaurants and I'll just start bringing the plates out just so that
I don't really want to say everybody set the plate down. I'd go back again and pick them up and set it back down for them. Say, is there anything else I can do for you, Rhonda? And I hold my hand out like this.
No, I have to say, to me, one of the most cherished friendships that I have is her and her family. All of them have been just
we
really,
didn't get
really great
into
people.
very much how close we actually got with
Well, she
her
said there's going to be a
daughters.
part two.
Oh, part two. We'll get into that. But yeah, getting to know her family and hanging out with her daughters for years and years and years.
As well as her brother. And good job, Jason, with trying to instigate a fight conversation with Rhonda. I know you wanted to. She had none of that.
She wasn't going to tell us about the
she's
time.
writing a book, I think, as like one of those exposés, and she's keeping all the juicy stuff for the book.
Will you wait when we get Darren in here?
I know Darren well enough to know
he'll go down this.
Rhonda's popped him in the eye before. I mean, come on.
We've all wanted to, right?
Darren Vincent. He deserves it sometimes.
That was a really good podcast, so I'm so thankful Rhonda did it. I can't wait to find out what our next guest is going to be. It's so fun to learn that we actually do know people.
I, as the booker of this podcast, can also not wait to know who the next person is. I got to get on that.
And also thank you for Delta Airlines for the new sponsorship that they called mid-show.
Did they? No, they
and we
didn't.
have free access to all
God, I
lounges
wish that was true.
worldwide.
That would be so awesome if it did
Keep working
happen.
on it.
And they have moved the hub now to Springfield, Missouri. So
Ooh, that's
sorry,
even better.
Atlanta.
You've got power.
Yeah, the podcast, man.
Power of podcast.
All right. You know what we should do is we should do it just like Rhonda did and just show up in their office and play them a demo.
We should do the story that was a
Oh,
fake
yeah.
story and actually do the real one.
Jeremy made that one up. I don't know. What anyway, thank Rhonda again. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening, podcast people.
Yep.
And
That's
you know
they
what,
call
guys? If you can just share this podcast with one person, then you all also will know people.
Yes.
It's not just us that knows people. You know people. You know people that may like this podcast. And if you could share it with one person, that's really going to help us grow this channel. And
I thought you were going to
subscribe
say.
to it.
I thought you were going to say if you could just share this with one person, then that would be one person that would hear this podcast.
one more person.
Yeah, we got to do our duties as podcast hosts and say, Please rate this where you get your podcasts. Like and share it. And
It's only going to get better from here, folks. We're just waiting. We're just waiting for the audience to grow before we actually get good at it.
But it never gets better. All the stuff.
By then, they're too invested to give up. It's like when you're in a movie and it's like, this. I can't finish this movie, but I've already put an hour into it. I got to finish it.
This is like that last season of all the major hit television
Lost.
shows.
Oh my God,
Lost.
Lost.
Where you're just like,
It's like, I know this isn't going to end well, but
Guys, hold on. I got to go jump a shark. Get it?
I got it.
All right.
TV show reference.
Thank
gotta
y'all.
get out of here, guys.
Yep. See you later. Bye-bye.
Please play the music now.
The Acoustic Shoppe Knows People. Handmade by Trent Pruitt, Hinkley Hinkleston, and Jason Chapman for the Acoustic Shoppe.
Theme song written and performed by Ofer Koren.
And please remember to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.